I went into the first chapter not expecting much. A lot of the hype on Twitter had some merit, but at the same time, I always make sure to go into a new manga with low expectations so that my enjoyment does not get overshadowed. I did not expect to love this first chapter as much as I did, but well, yeah, the Galaxias experience was indeed a magical one. Not for the reasons you would normally assume at this point, you know? Not because of a specific character, not because of a specific event that occurred, not because a chick with huge tits pulled up. Y'all know that's my go-to. But none of that. It was the feeling I had as I was reading it. It felt as if we were going on an expedition. One that doesn't have a real destination, but the journey is what makes the story. It gave me a peculiar feeling, almost a sense of nostalgia, if you will, as if I felt something like this before. And that was when it hit me. It wasn't like Gachiakata as many people on Twitter was saying. No, I got the same feeling when I was reading and watching Fairy Tail in my younger days. It gives off the same feeling as when my friends talk about One Piece. It's an adventure, and as I go over this chapter and we get deeper into the video, I'll explain why. As you guys know, man, I'm DomoSenpai, and today we're gonna be going over the new manga, Galaxias. And if you are new to the channel and have yet to subscribe, make sure you go down below, hit the link in the description, or the red subscribe button. Either one to help me reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the summer. I've been putting in hella work behind the scenes to get more things done, so as long as y'all keep up the support, we just may be able to do it. Consider following me on Twitter for daily updates on things related to manga, or just me in general. I tend to tweet a lot, so if y'all would like to interact more, that's where you'll find it. With all of that out of the way, bro, let's hop right into the video. Now, let's start off by explaining the obvious. Nereid is not the main character. That's gonna surprise a lot of y'all, but Nereid is not the main character. He's the main character of the book about him, which we'll get into later, but he is not the main character of Galaxias. Much like Fairy Tail, we are following the story of our energetic Geo, who wants to leave her small island and go on an adventure. But her father, who happens to be the mayor of this island, is hell-bent on keeping her here for some odd reason. Geo has an obsession with wanting to go on adventures, and more than that, she has an even bigger obsession with Yuri Holst, whom, according to her pops, is the world's greatest adventurer that has spent decades exploring all of the unknown places on the planet. Gives off mad Indiana Jones vibes in my opinion, and that's not a bad thing at all. Matter of fact, that's one of the reasons I really enjoyed this manga as I continue. Anyway, this is when we end up meeting Nereid, who at this point has not only forgotten his name, but also everything else. Geo takes him in, not realizing the world of trouble she has gotten herself into. Nereid tells Geo that he has been keeping everything in this journal since his awakening. And as she goes through the journal, she finds that they have more in common than she realized. One of the biggest morals in this first chapter, and what seems to be the overall moral of the story, is to follow your heart and do what it is that you want to do, as opposed to what others tell you. And that's one thing Nereid tried explaining to Geo, because Geo spilled her heart telling Nereid about her dreams and why she can't follow them. And that was when Nereid showed more emotion than he has all chapter. As he begins to leave, this is when the name Nereid, and by the way, in the comment section, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, make sure y'all let me know, is bestowed upon him by Geo. And not only that, we get the patented title drop due to the book being titled Galaxias. Pretty sure it showed up earlier in the chapter and my brain is just blanking on that, but we'll continue. And the name Nereid is the name of the main character of that book. And if you look into what Geo says as she describes the book, you can put two and two together and come to the assumption that Nereid is actually the same Nereid that the book is about. Doesn't take a genius to figure that out. This is when shit hit the fan though, and we learn a lot, because as Geo is going to ask her dad about leaving the island, right, she's trying to convince him after the conversation she had with herself pretty much, and the conversation she had with Nereid. He shows up bloody and tattered as if somebody just whooped his ass. Enter Yerks, a dragon knight sent to find Geo. But why Geo? Why is that? This is when we find out that Geo's actual name is Geo Holst, and she's the daughter of the famous adventurer Yuri Holst. According to Yerks, Yuri is currently a suspect of the murder of the Dragon King. And you guys know how this goes, right? Somebody more than likely framed him and forced him to go on the run. That's just usually how these stories go. I don't make up the rules or the archetypes, I just enforce them. Anyways, that was a joke. Hopefully y'all didn't take that too seriously. Yerkes also explains that treason pretty much gets your entire line of family executed. That shit is crazy. That means you could get framed and your entire family line is just null? I couldn't believe that shit. Geo realized that everything was being done for her sake. Being forced to stay on the island, kept away from going on adventures, all was being done to protect her. A fight breaks out between the mayor and Yerkes. And something to note here, this is a fight between dragonkind, so there's no rules here, because as you guys know, dragonkind are not allowed to use their powers against humans. Just before Yerkes attempts to kill the old man, Geo has the inner monologue that every MC has when shit goes south. Assess the situation, understand what's actually going on in front of them, and jumps into action without second thought, which is exactly what she does. She's assessing the situation, attempting to understand what is actually going on in front of her, and jumps into action without second thought thanks to the words that Narade imparted on her. What do you want to do? She, at this very moment, stood up for herself and decided her own future, not bound by anyone's words other than her own. I love that. That's always something that I look forward to seeing in a character, is like what they do when shit hits the fan. Do they cower away? Do they take it upon themselves to do the right thing? Whatever they decide to do, and it's like a very positive thing. I love to see that. Geo is a pretty creative individual. She noticed that she couldn't really hurt him because he's a dragon. So she spits out a bullet, blows it up in his face, kicked him in the balls, all so they could escape. Hey yo, that was the bar. I just rap in my part-time. That's neither here nor there. And just as Yerkes attempts to end Geo, in comes Narade to save the day, and we then flash to one of the hardest spreads I've ever seen. And the craziest part about this spread, it's no action here, just a straight up pose, and the way that it is illustrated, the viewpoint, the background, the shading, Jesus Christ, the art is so good. I'll get into that a little bit later. This shit was so cold, I had to stare and marvel at the artwork. It perfectly encapsulated the moment, because as he said, grit your teeth, I had to grab my fucking jaw from the floor, bro. That's how crazy that was. The extreme detail of this moment cemented in my mind that, oh yeah, this is here to stay. Narade proceeds to beat the snot out of Yerkes, sending him flying through a mountain or some shit, because that's what it looked like. And he ended up like on the shore. Pretty fitting for what he deserves. Geo and Narade then set out on an adventure to search for Yuri Host, because come to find out, that's what Narade has been up to this whole time. And imagine, right? Imagine that Yuri is the one who wrote Galaxias, and it was a story about him following Narade. That would be so interesting. But that's too good to be true, right? And that's how the first chapter comes to an end. When I say that that entire experience was magical, that is an understatement. Like I said, I usually keep my expectations low, but this one, I couldn't really hold back my excitement because I grew up with adventure movies, Indiana Jones being the prime example. But let's shift over to the manga perspective. It really is giving me One Piece and Fairy Tail vibes, because it uses a lot of elements from each, fusing them together while adding a dash of better art than both of the series combined that I mentioned above. We get Galaxias. I'm really looking forward to what Galaxias has to offer. I never read the one-shot either, but for what it's worth, I've heard nothing but good things about it. I can't wait to see the different types of dragon folk. Can't wait to see if Geo awakens her inner dragon, because at least from the visual we saw of Yuri walking away, he had a tail. That does it for this video, man. If y'all would like me to cover this manga, make sure y'all let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new. According to the homie Vizzy, Galaxias has had a very positive reaction on the JP side, so that also spells good things for the future of this manga. Help your boy get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the summer by sharing this video with people who love manga or love Galaxias. I'd really appreciate it if we could take this to the next level, because that spells so much for us down the road. As always, man, it's your boy DomoSenpai, and I will catch you guys in the next video.